Would a loss create a real quarterback competition? I love this topic. It's a really interesting question. What do you think?
I think that it at least comes close to doing so. A loss here, especially if Jimmy plays poorly and the 49ers lose, the fans would begin to erupt. You would start to see the revolt. And as much as Kyle, I believe, tries to stay off Twitter, tries to stay away from letting fans influence his decision, at some point the organization could start to feel pressure. I think that we'd be about halfway there to a true competition. I think that the 49ers would try to write off, well, it's week one weirdness. We just didn't come out prepared. We'll really, after this week of practice back east, we're going to play Philly. It'll be a different story. But I think you're 50% of the way to a true quarterback competition because you lose that second game and it's another game where Jimmy plays badly. Now the heat is on because now you're 0-2. 0-1 is bad enough. To lose to the Lions would be bad enough. It would start the fans on a quarterback competition train. I just don't know if it would bring the coaches, but I think it would light the fire.
It might change the attitude of the fan base or the
Yes.
locker room here. But I think ultimately what I'm starting to feel here is that it's all about Kyle and what he wants. And Kyle's very unique in the sense that I don't think he's standing back and watching, trying to let this unfold. I don't think that's his style. I think he has his mind made up already. I think he's kind of feels like, I already know. I'm the smartest person in the room / the world. And I already know that he's not, I know he's not ready. Like, say what you want to. I mean, I know that I don't like Jimmy. I've made this argument a million times internally, but he's not ready, Trey. Not ready for what on my rubric, the Kyle Shanahan rubric of readiness, he ain't there. So nothing that happens with Jimmy changes Trey. Like, it just doesn't. I'm sorry. And I think he's dug in on that. The only thing that could actually make this, that could get Trey, I'm starting to feel, only thing that could make him the starting quarterback anytime soon is an injury to Jimmy Garoppolo. That Kyle is committed to a 2-quarterback system. And he's going to do this all freaking year if he can. Because Trey's not ready. That end of story. And the only thing that could change that is Jimmy getting hurt. That's the way I see it. Do you think I don't know. I'm prone to conspiracy theories, but that's the way I see it.
You are, but you've also just coined a fantastic phrase, Kyle Shanahan's rubric of readiness. It's a new term that I think all 49er fans should learn and use because I think you're right. I think it is predetermined. And Kyle certainly does believe that his opinion is the most important and only opinion that matters.
And it's right. It's right. Yeah.
Because he is the smartest. And he may be right about that.
He might be.
At least, well, Mike McDaniel's a pretty brilliant guy as well. So maybe not. But he's bright. Let's give him that. Yes, okay. Kyle wants to go that direction. He's predetermined it. But it just seems unwise not to allow new information to come in and change your opinion. You know what I mean? That is the scientific
I do think
method.
It seems unfreaking wise, yes.
Yes, totally. You have a hypothesis and you go with it. You have Trey's not ready now. But then you take in fresh inputs, you take in new information, and you reform your decision. That's the way in which scientists have been doing it for a long time, and Kyle certainly should take that approach. I don't know if his ego will allow him to.
Yeah, I don't know if his ego will allow him to either. I mean, basically, the biggest asset to the 49ers organization is Kyle. And the biggest detriment to their organization is Kyle's ego. It's the way it is. And I think that's the way he's going to be for a while, that he's always in his own way. He's always in his own way. I mean, his need to be the star comes at the expense of his quarterback. And when you're undercutting your quarterback, you're undercutting your whole team. And I think until he figures that out, he'd be best suited to be a coordinator with a coach who can tell him, who can keep him in check at the right times. And, Dan Quinn wasn't that guy. Someone in that Super Bowl 5 years ago needed to turn to Kyle and be like, yo, run the freaking ball. Wait, what are you doing? And Dan Quinn wouldn't do it. And I think Kyle needs that. I don't know if his dad never did that for him. I don't know, but he needs someone to be like 4 times a game. Like, dude, what? No, not right now. He would really benefit from that. I have that. My dad can look at me sometimes and be like, yo, what was that?
You need that. You can't surround yourself with people who are always yes people. You
Right.
need someone who's going to get in your face and tell you when you're acting stupid. They've just got to be able to give you the truth. They
And
got to be able to speak to you in a way that you hear. And it doesn't, to this point, doesn't seem like Kyle has someone in the room that's willing to do that or capable of doing
the
that.
way people talk about him in that organization, Robert Saleh, whenever people talk about him, they're like, well, he's the greatest play caller of all time. They say that. Like when I asked Mike McDaniel once, so are you going to call plays now that you're offensive coordinator? He's like, well, I mean, why would I take the duties away from the greatest play caller of all time? And I think Robert Saleh said that last year too. He's like, do you have to say that to work for the 49ers? Because I mean, no one actually believes that. I mean, he may be great, but he's not. I mean, come on. Are you kidding?
He's the
Come
best
on.
we've had in a long time, but
Sure,
greatest of all
there
time.
it is. That's the correct sentence.
That's rough. You have to imagine Robert Saleh strikes me as an individual who is capable of speaking his mind. If he was unable to get in Kyle's face and say the things that needed to be said, I have my doubts that Mike McDaniels is capable of doing it because of the way in which he speaks about Kyle, because of his personality type. Doesn't strike me as the type that's going to stand up and truly just get in his face about something. I could be wrong about that, though. And if he can, that would be a huge step forward for the 49ers.
Well, if Kyle's the kind of person who has to be right all the time, and I think he is, and I think the part of the problem is that he happens to be right most of the time. So he's like, well, but I am right all the time. Right. But you have to be right all the time. And you structure things to a point where I think you probably push away people who don't think you're right all the time. And you structure games and preseason and practices to kind of confirm your belief. So it's like Trey Lance isn't ready. I'm going to prove it. Watch him get sacked 4 times. That's his fault. Well, sure, I guess. You know, if you wanted him to play like Jimmy, then yeah, he's not ready to play like Jimmy. Mac Jones is ready to play like Jimmy. Lance is ready to play like Trey Lance. But you don't. Okay, all right. You're right. He just, and I think he's surrounded by a lot of people who are like, man, Kyle, you're right again. What? He's right again. Everyone, look at that. And I don't know, man. I think that's a character flaw. If you were a character, something that you might want to work on.
It is. And this is not to say that Kyle is often wrong. He is not. He is right the majority of the time, but he is wrong sometimes.
Yes.
And you do need someone to tell you when you're wrong.
You should want to have people who are checking like that.